All right, man. Let's go. Edge 8 for both of us now is Shemar Stewart. You're going to get answers all over the place for Shemar. Where are you on him?
So I look, a lot of his athleticism shows up, right? It's visible. He is big, twitchy, visibly impressive when he's on the field. The explosiveness is impressive. The strength and the power, like, dude, he can run over offensive tackles. Like, he can take these guys and just bull rush them and put them on skates in a way I don't think anybody else in this draft class could do. Like, his power is absolutely legit. He rocks offensive tackles back. He can like completely run over them. Now, and the other thing that was interesting to me is, so my overall impression is linear straight line explosiveness definitely there. I wonder if he has change of direction. And there have been some players before where that's been true. What's different about him, though, is he's got this really nice like Euro step where he can explosively jump laterally in a big distance. Like, he can completely cross a lineman's face with this Euro step. He can shoot from a shade into a gap. Like, he can go a long way laterally on that. It's just that I don't think he has that bend, the dip, the running the hoop type of thing. And it's a slightly different. This is why I think the 3-cone and the short shuttle, which ostensibly both measure short shuttle or short area change of direction, they're different movements and they're different tests because I think they're trying to measure those two different aspects, right? One is trying to measure if you can like run that hoop, run that arc and run a tight corner. The other one is trying to measure if you can stop start laterally and do that. I think Stewart can do that lateral kind of Euro step agility. I don't think he can necessarily turn the corner. And it's interesting that in all of his pre-draft stuff, he's done nothing, no change of direction stuff, right? Nothing at the combine, nothing at his pro day, no drills that would potentially highlight it or expose it. He's only done the linear straight line explosive stuff. So I think, look, the power stuff, the straight line explosiveness, really, really impressive. I do, though, wonder if he can actually change direction. And if we're, again, the Trayvon Walker comps are going to write themselves because they're broadly speaking the same height, the same weight, and have the same 40 time-ish, right? But that's different. Trayvon Walker the spider chart was a circle. He was good at everything. Every aspect of his profile was elite. I suspect if we ever got the numbers for Shemar Stewart, and it's guesswork here, but it's guesswork from the tape and the fact that he hasn't put it on film anywhere or numbers anywhere, I suspect his change of direction testing numbers would not be elite numbers.
I think he's probably somewhere between Trayvon Walker and Tyree Wilson. They're the two most famous examples of us pushing back on those guys as top 10 picks.
Right.
They're projectable. Now, yeah. I don't even want to get into it right now. Trayvon Walker just had his 5th-year option picked up by the Jags. I think he's going to sign a big contract. So, I mean, I think we're still going to end up differing from many. Some people are going to agree with us on Trayvon Walker hasn't lived up to the hype and hasn't been a great player, but it is the best thing he's done is the durability, playing 800 plus snaps per season, which has nothing to do with his athleticism and his actual skill set that he was drafted for. Don't even need to get into whether or not he was a success or not, but the reason why Stewart's 8 for me and probably for you is production is a projection, and production isn't sack totals. It is winning consistently off the edge. Now, he had way more pressure and a higher pressure rate and a higher win rate the last 2 years, higher than what Trayvon Walker had coming out. And I would say, again, looking at the Tyree Wilson comp, Tyree Wilson had a good final season at Texas Tech. I didn't check it exactly, but I think Shemar Stewart's final 2 seasons compared to Tyree Wilson's final 2 seasons probably better. The other difference, and there's a reason why Shemar Stewart's in between those two players is prospects, right? Stewart's 21. Tyree Wilson had his breakout season at 23. So his theoretical upside that everybody talked about was like, well, this is a 23-year-old, right? Like, some of these guys are going to be in year 2 in the NFL when they're 23 years old, like Tyree Wilson was when he went number 7 overall. So that is in Stewart's favor, the same way we talked about with Mykel Williams. He's still young. He was a former 5-star and looks like it, man. I mean, some of the plays that he has are out of this world good. As you mentioned, the straight line, the get off that he has which leads to speed to power. The get off getting down the line, working the backside against the run. I mean, the highlight reel is outstanding. So all of that I get, but not only did he not win often enough for me, for what first round edge rushers usually win, like just straight up win the one-on-ones, he also didn't finish. So what you're saying is that change of direction, that's where the sack totals come in. With Trayvon Walker, you could at least say change of direction's good enough. If he's not going to win the one-on-one in today's NFL, like he's the cleanup guy. He's really good at being the cleanup guy. I don't know if Shemar Stewart has that level in him other than straight line tracking down quarterback. So that's where every time I'm like, I kind of get, like, I get the disruption aspect of it. I get what he brings to the table, but it's like bull in the china shop type of disruption where I don't know if he'll ever be a play finisher. And I don't even know if he's disruptive enough to truly win with an inside counter and win with other moves off the edge to warrant the top first round, but top 15 pick that, he's projected to be.
It's like every positive that you like about him, there's a negative that makes you go, but that might not matter. Right? Like yeah. Another reason that the Trayvon Walker thing makes some sense is, remember at draft time, there were a ton of people being like, look at all the snaps inside. Like the defense was playing him as this 3-4 defensive end where he's not on the edge. He can't actually rush the passer. And that's why his production is really bad. I mean, Texas A&M did that to Shemar Stewart as well. About 1 in every 4 of his snaps was lined up kind of inside. And that, I didn't like him there at all. Like, I think that did absolutely hamper his pass rushing ability and production. And I mean, his numbers were better on the edge. If you look at it, like just when he lines up truly on the edge as opposed to inside, they still weren't good. So it's not like that, we're not talking about a guy who was actually good on the edge and then all the snaps inside just like muddy the production. He was definitely better on the edge. He still wasn't productive. But so I think you can say, look, those plays inside did not help him, and that's part of the problem. But you put him on the edge and you're like, okay, what I want to see and what I'm not seeing because of potentially this lack of change of direction or bendiness is, where are the plays where he's just trying to run that arc on the outside, where he's trying to do a legit speed rush and just beat the guy around the corner? Number one, there aren't many of them at all, right? Like, he doesn't do it very often. Now, number two, the plays you can find where he does try, it doesn't tend to go well, right? He gave it a shot against Membu, and Membu just folded him to the turf, like just bent, like collapsed on him and just immediately erased him. He did it against LSU as well on a 3-man 3rd and 15, like obvious pass rushing situation. You're just trying to get around the guy on the outside and got nowhere. And that wasn't even against Will Campbell on the left side. It was the other side of the line, who admit it's still a prospect, but not against the guy that's supposed to go in the top 10, right? So the plays where you can find where he is trying to be that sort of speed edge rush to the outside, which he should be able to do with that 40 time and get off and burst, doesn't go well at all. So I do wonder if you're going to have this guy who is, again, he's limited. He is explosive. He's powerful. He's able to bull rush right through a dude, but he doesn't change directions particularly well. He also falls off so many tackles. It's unbelievable the number of plays where he does not finish. Like, he's got 2 hands holding onto the quarterback and just at 270 pounds, and somehow the guy just gets out of the tackle. Like, these gloves have sticky, like they have tack to them. Just hold on. I don't understand how a guy that powerful falls off so many tackles.
The one other comp I'll throw out there, and it's not perfectly clean, but Josh Sweat, who just signed a big deal with Arizona, went to the Eagles in the 4th round. And he was another guy that was kind of productive in college, but more in the run game than as a pass rusher. Good run defender, good athlete, good length, and a projectable athlete. And he just, was a Super Bowl hero. Now, look, I still don't think Josh Sweat is an elite pass rusher, despite what he got paid. He's a good pass rusher in the NFL. Took him a couple of years, was a part of a rotation. PFF grade peaked at 76, 80 as a pass rusher. He's been a pretty good player. He's a good player. Maybe not what he's worth, but he's a good player. I think that's the other guy where Stewart can be a disruptive run defender, similar to Michael Williams. So it's weird that I would say he's like at a high floor, because I think he's disruptive. but at the same time, there's a theoretical ceiling with Shemar Stewart as well. So he's another guy that I'm going to say, I get him. I get it. I understand. Harry, you got any Shemar Stewart thoughts? I needed some batteries for my mouse, so he had to drop them off. Thanks, Harry. So I get Shemar Stewart, but as I said with the Trayvon Walkers and the Tyree Wilsons, I would rather let someone else try to develop him. That's just where I am with Shemar Stewart. I get it. I'm okay with 3 years from now being like, oh, Steve, you were low on Shemar Stewart. I'm okay with that. That is in his range of outcomes. I understand it. I would rather let someone else do it.
All right, that's enough of that, Steve. Over 50% of the people listening to this are not subscribed right now. So click that button, and then we can get back to whatever it is Steve's telling you about. I think you're right that he is on the spectrum that has Trayvon Walker and Tyree Wilson on it. I think he's between the two of them. And like any of the three, there's a point where I would be willing to draft them. I suspect that point is lower than other people will. So for practical purposes, I'm just going to let somebody else take that chance. But there's absolutely a point where I would roll the dice and say, yeah, I'm going to give Shemar Stewart a shot and see if we can make it work. But like, for example, right, Chris Sims has got his edge rusher rankings out today. Chris Sims has Shemar Stewart as edge number 3. I think it was 3. Dane Brugler has him as one of the top edges and like one of the top 10 players on the board overall.
Sorry, you told me Sims had him at 2. I think Dane has.
Okay, yeah, maybe it was 2.
Yeah.
Point being, like other guys have got this guy as a top 10 draft pick, as a guy who's going to go like as elite. His stock on the consensus board is still 15, top 15 rather. What I will say, there every now and again you get players where when you read like the pros and cons of them, and then look to like where these people are being projected, most of the time they match, right? Like here's a list of pros and then a couple of cons, and ergo this guy's a top 5 draft pick overall. That makes sense, right? Or this guy's got a few positives and he's got quite a lot of negatives, therefore he's being projected day 3, right? Every now and again you'll get a player where that doesn't match. Like the guy has either way more cons than pros and he's still ranked really high, or the reverse. That's Shemar Stewart, where if you listen to people list out where he's good, where he's bad, like the pros and cons, and then look at where they have him ranked overall, it doesn't mesh, it doesn't gel. And I think that's where you start to get these guys that just go, but look at him, like I know it's not actually that good right now, right? On the other hand, have you seen this play, right? I think that's basically what happens with Shemar Stewart. You watch his tape, you write your notes, you plot it all out, and you're like, okay, if I gave that to a random person who hadn't watched the tape and said, where should this guy get drafted based off these notes, the guy would not be saying top 10. And then, but you watch the play and you're like, man, look at that play. Like, look at that play. If we could just get 100 more of them, like we'd be cooking. I think that's what happens.
Let me just throw 2 more names out there, because Stewart did go to the Senior Bowl and had the freak rush, and then he left, right? He was like, bags packed. I showed what I needed to show. Jermaine Johnson was a guy who had just okay production in his career, good final season, and then showed out at the Senior Bowl. Darius Robinson went in the first round for the Cardinals. Similar, okay production, had a really nice Senior Bowl, one of the best we've ever seen, just from a pure one-on-one wins standpoint and across multiple alignments. So he's in this spectrum of there's risk attached to it. There are success stories. Josh Sweat, who was a 4th rounder. Darius Robinson, we don't know yet. Jermaine Johnson looks like he's trending in the right direction. Trayvon Walker, wherever you want to put him. Tyree Wilson, maybe he's trending in the right direction. But in most of those cases, no matter what you say about Trayvon, he hasn't figured, like, he might be good in year 4, right? You might be sacrificing half the rookie contract to hope that by the end of it, you have a guy who's worth re-signing. And that matters as well, because I think that's also part of the Shemar Stewart story. It might take 3 or 4 years before you reap the upside rewards. And that's not great bang for your buck on the first contract.
Right. I just think it's interesting to me in that I think he's becoming one of these players now where the overall like projection of where they think he's going to go doesn't even mesh what people are seeing. Like people are being dishonest is the wrong word. Your brain is misleading you. Like the reptilian part of your brain is taking over and saying, forget what the logic part has written down. look at this play where he bull rushes a tackle into the quarterback. I want that guy in the top 10 draft picks, right? Like, take your notes and your info and your data and just junk it, because I've seen this play and that's all that's taken over. Like, if you read, I'm not going to read it out because, it's a lot of work, but like, he has 5 negative bullet points in Dane's breakdown, and they're all catastrophic. It's like every aspect of being a pass rusher. And it's like, on the other hand, he's the 9 overall player in the entire in the entire draft. Like, those two things don't sync to me. I don't think you can have that, even if you're like, projection and upside and potential and the positives. I don't think you can outweigh that amount of negative.
Last thing I just want to say really quick. When Jack Sawyer didn't make either of our top 10s, because he's just the complete opposite, right? He's a bad athlete, productive player. If you want to eliminate Will Campbell because of arm length, or Jack Sawyer because he doesn't have edge rush athleticism, for me, the production not only matters more, down-to-down production as measured in a PFF way with 10 years of this information matters more than the things you would eliminate Jack Sawyer or Will Campbell because of his arm length. It's probably 70-30 production to athleticism when it comes to the edge. So the elite athleticism for Shemar Stewart, fine. He doesn't tick the most important box for a first-round edge rusher. And for me, that's why I would say, okay, I'm going to let someone else play that game. And I could be wrong. That's fine. But I just don't want to go down that route, because you need to tick both boxes to double and triple your hit rates or your expectations on these players.
But the other thing, don't overlook this red flag that he has not shown that he can change directions athletically, right? Like, this is a thing. We're going to talk about him as this super athlete because what he has put down is elite. But he's like, it's like, oh, don't worry about that thing. Like, yeah, I've done it. Where's this part of the test? Oh, don't worry, it's there, right? I'm not going to show it to you, but yeah, I've done it. You're good.
He's the DK Metcalf of pass rushers here, just straight.
Right. Like, we're going to assume he's this special athlete because the stuff that he has shown is elite, but he is very specifically not shown one seriously important part of being an athlete at a pass rushing position, right? So, like, if that's a huge part of your projection, right? I believe that Shemar Stewart is still worth a top 10 draft pick, despite all these negatives and this lack of production, because sometimes Danielle Hunter happens, right? And super athletes become amazing pass rushers despite no college production. If that's your argument, then you need to explain to me how you are coming to the conclusion that he is a super athlete despite not showing you change of direction numbers and quite a lot of the tape showing some change of direction problems.
I know we're just trying to balance it out really quick. With Stewart, I don't want to come across so negative because we're trying to say, like, other people have him high, we have him lower. I'll also say, if you put him on the Eagles or the teams that are 7 and 8 deep on the defensive line, and he plays his bull in a china shop, just destroy the dude in front of you with bull rushes as a pass rusher and just run around. And I mean, he's got cinder block hands in the run game. I think he could be a real disruptive run game, disruptive run game presence. You put him with a deep defensive line, and I don't care about his sack totals or everything. I think he sets everyone else up. I think that is an underrated part of Shemar Stewart's game, maybe even more than Trayvon Walker or Tyree Wilson. I think he could be more down-to-down disruptive. But if you want him, to your point, to be the quote 10 sack guy who does finish plays and everything, maybe there are more concerns about his game. So, like I said, I keep saying I get Shemar Stewart. I understand the appeal. I just don't know if I'm ready to I might understand the appeal more than even Walker or Tyree Wilson, to be honest.
Definitely more than Tyree Wilson, not more than Walker to me. But it's a different, again, I've said this like all the way through the process, right? It's a different conversation because I'm not talking about drafting him number 1 overall. I'm talking about where in the first round does he draft? I think I would take him at the bottom of the first round somewhere. Somebody else is going to take him in the middle of the first round somewhere, and I'm not willing to go there. That being said, as much as I'm pushing back on this, look, hey, but this, I get it. Like the reptilian part that I was talking about earlier, every time I turn on his tape, there's a play within, the first 5 snaps where I'm like, yeah, I get it. I want that. I'm not willing to quit him, right? There are other players that are in this sort of spectrum of, good athlete, non-productive player where I'm like, I don't want it. I don't think that's going to work out, right? Like I'm not even, yes, I'm willing to take a chance somewhere, but it's like in the third or the fourth round. It's basically saying I'm not willing to draft that guy. I don't believe it will work out. I'm not there on Shemar Stewart, and I can't get there. Like I kind of want to get there because a lot of the data says this just isn't going to work. But you watch his tape and you're like, dude, that plays. There's stuff there that's going to play. So it's an awkward eval because I think the people that are putting him as the second best edge rusher in this draft, that are ranking him in the top 10, I don't want to say crazy, but I think that's a stretch. I think it's hard to get there based off all the information we have on him. But all it takes is for you to throw up 10 plays, pick any 10, throw up 10 of his snaps. There'll be a play in there that makes me go, all right.
That's the thing. I know. Look, I don't care if we go 3 hours. I don't care. If you're going to take the guy top 10 as an edge rusher, they have to have the production box ticked. And look, we had the same conversations 3 years ago. Yeah, well, Trayvon, they use him as a 4 technique, and he's on stunts all the time. That's fine. I don't even care why the production isn't there. It isn't there. If I haven't seen it, if you haven't seen it, you're projecting it. And if you're going to do that with the top 10, it has never ended well with top 10 edge rushers who are merely athletes. It just hasn't. And for every Danielle Hunter who figured it out later, or Josh Sweat, those are third and fourth round picks. Like, those guys are probably properly valued, right? If you were with a lie detector test, if you told me, where would you take Shemar Stewart? I'm probably more like third round. I get it. I get the risk more. You're saying late first round. So it's just where that's where those guys probably should be valued. So when you're saying top 10, you better tick both of those boxes, no matter what the context is behind scheme or whatever it is, even though there's a lot to like about Shemar Stewart. It's why I have him at 8, because I get it. Like, I still get it.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
For more great content, click here to subscribe and here to watch another video. We'll see you again soon.